And the last thing is that we need to print out, how for each person, how many books each person have in this bar graph. Okay, so we represent this bar graph by using the stars. Okay, so this is a basic, have a basic overview for today's work. By the way, the for the Google form, the question is that for today's recitation is that my favorite color for today is red. Okay, the color is red for the Google form. Okay. All right, so let's go back to these slides. So next thing I think I want to cover is these functions, because we need to know how to accomplish these functions, by because on your basic initial code file there's nothing existed, but I want to finish this function to make this function working. Okay, so maybe for the first one right here, I want to print arrays just like this. I want to print this 10 random numbers I just created for the array books. Okay, so in order to do that, I just copy and paste because I'm kind of lazy, but okay. So actually this is the first function to corresponding to this one on the web page. Okay, so document.write, I think you are pretty familiar with this function. It just basically print anything inside this parentheses on the web page. So for this one, it just BR, remember the BR, it just start a new line on the web page. So the important thing is this for loop. So remember for the function we learned last week, if the function is just like a variable, we could declare and storage, have a storage for function and variables, because sometimes we don't use them until we invoke or until we call them. Okay, so for the storage, I want to finish this function. But for the calling part, I think you remember how to do that. So just print array. How to spell array? Yeah. And this is a function name. Print array. Alright. Print array. Same function name. And for the parameters, I want to transfer the array I just created. Maybe because first one I want to output this 10 numbers. So I just want to use this books. I want to use this variable because I want to transfer this variable, this parameter, into the function I just created. Okay, so in this way we just finish the calling of the function. And let's go back how to check how to finish the function. So in this function, in the parentheses, we have a for loop. We start with I equals to 0, and because I just transfer this transfer this books, and the book length I think is 10 because I put 10 right here. So the length for this array is going to be 10. So the book right here, book right here is actually this A. It's the same thing but with different names. So start with I equals 0, and I if smaller than this A dot length. So A dot length right here is actually the book's dot length. So the book length actually is 10 right here. Right. So if I is smaller than 10, but if you like, you could put a 10 instead of A dot length, but we just use A dot length. So if smaller than indolence, we do this body part, and after doing this body part, we use I++ increment by 1, self-increment. So what does this body part do? So basically it just document write, just output, just print the numbers, start from I equals 0. So the first item in the array. Okay, so maybe I have, remember this one, 5, 6, 9. So for the first iteration, I equals to 0, and 0 of course is smaller than 10, right? Smaller than 10, and A0 right here. Let's say I remember I assume that is 44, right? The first one, 44. So in this way, it will use output the 44 by using this function document write, and there's a white space because this the actual data is 75, so I just use 75. Maybe 75. So 75 plus a white space, so 75 white space. Okay. And for the next iteration, so I right here is going to be a 1. So in this way, I equals to 1, and if 1 is smaller than 10, because it's true that 1 is still smaller than 10. So maybe for this one, for the parameters, the index 1, the value for index 1 is going to be 45. So if 1 is smaller than 10, then document write a bracket 1. So a bracket 1 right here is going to be 45. So on the web page, it's going to be output this 45. Okay. And we just do this for loop over and over again until the 10 is not smaller than 10 anymore. So in this case, the whole process will be stopped. So the iteration is going to be executed for 10 times. Okay. And this is a function print array. And for next one, it's a name, but it's same logic. Let's check. Oh, there's a print reverse. So for the print name, we just use the same function but with different parameters. So print array order. Okay. So because for the first one is traversing books, the second one is traversing names, so we use the same function but different parameters. So the parameter right here is going to be names instead of books. Names. Alright. So the only thing I change is that I change the parameter name. I change the variable name. Because it always calls the same function, but with different parameters. Okay. That's the logic. That's the logic. Okay, for the third one, for the traversing books in reverse order. So how do we do that? So this is a print array. So this is a print reverse. Okay. So old method, I just copy this one. And go down right here. Reverse order books. And let's check this. Check this function. Just copy and paste. I'm pretty lazy. So this is a function print reverse, and in this parameter field, it will accept the parameter. Let's say the parameter is booked. So I will transfer books inside this function. Let's see, yeah. Transfer books inside this parameter field, which is A right here. So because the first thing we start from low to high, so for the reverse we need to start from the high to low. So at first, because we know that the length for the books is going to be 10, so in this way I want to initialize this I want to initialize 9 to this I, so I use 10 minus 1. So it is 9 right here, right? Because I want to make sure that the total iteration for this loop is going to be 10. So let's count 9 all the way to the 0, because the last iteration for this loop is always going to be a 0. So is 0 greater or equal to 0? Yes. So the total iteration is going to be 10. But if you don't like that, you could do this way. So we start from 10, but for the second statement condition, I just fix it. We just delete this equal sign. So, but it's always get the same result because the total iteration is always 10 because we start from 10 all the way to the 1. So there's no 0 for the last one. So in this case, it's going to be if 1 is greater than 0. So in this case, it's going to be the last iteration because 0 is not going to be greater than 0, right? So both ways, whatever you like. But I just prefer this one. So we start from the rightmost side and document.write and the A9. So I just do this again. So 737. So if we use this way, the first one right here is going to be, because 10 minus 1 is going to be 9. So 9 right here is 37. The value for index 9 is going to be 37. Alright, so this is the first iteration. And for the next, because I minus minus, so 9 minus minus is going to be 8. 8 right here. So for the next iteration, so A8 is going to be this 14, okay, and all the way to this index 0, just in a reverse order for this one. You can see it's actually the reverse order, right? Yeah, so this is the logic, and the same logic for traversal names in reverse order for the fourth functions. So if you have time, you could pause right here and try to finish. If you, trying to finish the functions we have done before, just have a little thinking, just in case you don't understand or something like that. So for the reverse, I just simply call this function again, but with a different parameter. So for this one, I have names instead of books. Okay. And reverse order. What next? Okay, the next one I think is a fund average. So it is this one. So fund average. Maybe we could finish the function first, and then after that we could do the function calling and function invoke. So we find this function right here, and I just copy the whole thing.